Democratic Party leaders are reeling, to put it lightly, after a massive political upset in the New York primary. 28-year-old Bronx native and first-time political candidate Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez beat longtime incumbent and House Democratic Caucus Chair Joe Crowley by double digits. The shakeup raises new questions about the future of the Democratic Party and its leaders in the Trump era. If elected in November, which is likely, Ocasio-Cortez will be the youngest woman ever elected to Congress. She spoke to CBS This Morning by phone today, where she said this message is a message directly to members of Congress.
I think that it's time that we really need to reassert and truly put the needs of working class Americans first. We shouldn't be afraid of bold policies that chart a vision for the future of America that we want, that will be just for everyday people trying to make ends meet.
Let's bring in Ryan Karim. He's the Washington D.C. bureau chief for The Intercept. Thank you so much for joining us. So what do you think it was about her message that won over so many voters?
It's two things. I mean, one, it's her platform, which was much more aggressive than Joe Crowley's and more in line with her district. And particularly as the immigration issue heated up throughout the campaign, her clear pledge to abolish ICE, which Joe Crowley was in the midst of calling a fascist institution, was not willing to do. So she was able to draw a contrast between her and him on that issue as it heated up. And it made him look odd. Well, what do you so you've said this is fascist, but you shouldn't abolish it? And then that just feels like you're being a weird politician. Just go all the way, say what you mean. But then more importantly was fundraising. Joe Crowley, when he came to Congress, had a lot of union backing, but he pivoted towards Wall Street, towards pharmaceutical companies, towards luxury real estate developers, and that distances you from the district, whereas Ocasio-Cortez relied on small dollars. And so she was able to say, I'm not going to be beholden to Wall Street. Her line was something like, this is about people and money. We have people, they have money. And as long as enough people come out to vote, you're going to win with that message.
She came out of nowhere. No one was expecting this to happen. What do you think this says about the Democratic Party's sense of self and the potential future if we don't have unity?
Right. All politicians in both parties have excellent senses of survival. And so they watch this race and they are taking away from it a clear lesson that the way they've done politics in the past is not necessarily going to protect them. They can have a huge war chest. They can have the support of all of their colleagues. They can have the support of every county chair and every local organization in every kind of machine organization in the district. But it doesn't matter if you're not connecting with the district, and if you face somebody who is an insurgent candidate who has an army of grassroots donors who are also going to go knock on doors for you, you can lose. So you now need to readjust. You can't be out there playing footsie with these big corporations and think that just because you vote the right way on X bill that comes to the floor that you're going to be safe.
I like how you say that, playing footsie with these big corporations. So what does this say about the Bernie Sanders effect, which it seems that is still reverberating through the party?
Yeah, well, there was a story a couple days ago in the New York Times that said, Bernie's had a lot of fun with his message, but primary victories are elusive. Not only did she blow him out last night. This was not close. As you said, this was a landslide, a 16-point win. The DCCC, which is the House Democrats' campaign arm, they took a huge L up in Syracuse, where they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, they and their allies, to try to beat Dana Balter, who had the backing of local Democrats up there. She won. The machine backed a candidate in Long Island, Dwayne Gregory, who was beaten by an insurgent woman there too, Luba Gretchen Shirley. So, and if you look at Maryland with the victory of a progressive Ben Jealous, in Colorado you had a number of progressives beat establishment candidates. This was the day that this movement finally arrived.
So it's not over just because the presidential election ended, the presidential primaries ended the way they did.
No, and what Ocasio-Cortez kept saying was that if you want to fight Trump, you have to fight the roots. You have to fight what created Trump, and that's the anger at the establishment broadly.
So I want to read you a statement from Nancy Pelosi. She said Chairman Joe Crowley has been an unwavering champion for America's working families for almost 2 decades. She went on to say, I salute Chairman Crowley for a formidable legacy of achievement for the people of New York. I congratulate Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez with her victory. What does this type of loss by such a high-level Democrat mean for the party?
It means they have to rethink how they're doing things. And Pelosi in particular is running into a math problem. Ocasio-Cortez said she's not going to support him. There are now approaching 20 people running for Congress who are saying that they won't support Nancy Pelosi for Speaker, which
Ocasio-Cortez says she will not support Pelosi.
She will not support Pelosi. And so you need 218 to get a majority, but now Pelosi needs 238, 240 or more to have enough of a cushion so that the people who are saying they're not going to vote for her will vote for her. There are very few people that think Democrats are going to get to 240. So that just becomes a basic math problem for her. Okay, so if Pelosi's out, Crowley thought he was going to be the progressive alternative. That's obviously not going to happen. Steny Hoyer has long wanted to be Democratic leader. He's tied to major corporations. He's considered more conservative. That seems like a tough sell in this environment. So who? They have a real problem at this point. They don't have much of a leadership bench when it comes to progressives, but they're going to need to get one quickly.
Could you tell us a little bit more about the background of Ocasio-Cortez? So much has been made about the fact that she was just recently a bartender, but who is she? She also has high degrees, studied international economics.
Right, and so she's been an organizer in the community. So she was doing two things. One, during the financial crisis, her family fell on hard times, and so her mother was a bus driver in the city, and so that wasn't enough to make ends meet, and so she was, as well as working at times as an educator, other times as an entrepreneur in children's books, was working in, as you said, waiting tables to help make ends meet for the family. So this is a person who, when she started her campaign, was still waiting tables. Like she would bring her campaign materials with her, stash it behind the bar, and then when the shift was over, she'd go hit the streets again. So this is not somebody who is talking about being the daughter of a mill worker or the daughter of a waitress. She was waitressing when she launched her campaign. So she has a very real and recent connection to the struggles of this working class district.
It seems like people are listening. We're going to take a turn now and switch gears, hard right turn, to Russia. Officials say there that President Putin and the U.S. reached an agreement on a date and location for a summit between Putin and President Trump. Details are expected tomorrow. They're going to be released at the same time in Moscow and D.C. John Bolton, the national security advisor, is currently in Moscow, where he addressed the plans.
Well, I think both President Trump and President Putin feel that it's important for these two leaders of these two critically important countries to get together and discuss their mutual problems and areas of cooperation. It's something that I think both feel will contribute to improvements in the U.S.-Russia bilateral relationship. I don't think it's anything unusual for President Trump and President Putin to meet. If you just look at meetings in the past year, the leaders of the United Kingdom, Germany, France, Greece, Finland, Austria, Belgium, and Italy have all had bilateral meetings with President Putin.
There are reports that this meeting will take place in a third country, similar to the summit with Kim Jong-un, which took place in Singapore. So what are you going to be looking for in this summit?
Well, I mean, Trump loves to play these kind of guessing games of like, is the summit on? Is the summit off? What are the goals of the summit? Where is it going to be? In a purely reality TV kind of way. And you saw the way he would tease the North Korea meeting, and then he cancels it, and then he puts it back on. It's a play for ratings. He enjoys the focus of the media on where's the meeting going to be, what are they going to talk about, much more than he cares about the actual substance of it, which it's hard to imagine much coming out of it.
Thank you so much for those insights, Brian Grimm, joining us here.